Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the weird, wonderful, and downright shocking world of science. Get ready to have your mind blown with 10 incredible facts that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew. Neutrons, those tiny building blocks inside the atom, might hold the key to eternal existence, at least on a subatomic level. But the statement, neutrons can live forever, is a bit of an exaggeration, but it does highlight a fascinating aspect of particle physics. Most subatomic particles, like protons and electrons, are unstable. Over time, they decay into other particles through a process called radioactive decay. Neutrons, however, are different. Inside an atom, bound to a proton, a neutron is perfectly stable and can theoretically exist indefinitely. It doesn't decay as long as it remains part of the atomic nucleus. The key point is that neutrons need to be bound within an atom to be stable. Free neutrons, those not part of an atomic nucleus, are a different story. They are actually unstable and will decay into a proton, an electron, and an antineutrino within about 10 to 13 seconds. So, can neutrons live forever? Technically, bound neutrons inside an atom could potentially exist for an incredibly long time, perhaps even the entire age of the universe, around 13.8 billion years. However, this doesn't guarantee absolute immortality, and there could be unforeseen circumstances that might lead to their decay. Believe it or not, you share a surprising amount of DNA with that yellow fruit in your lunchbox, about 60%. We share about 60% of our DNA with bananas. This doesn't mean 60% of our genes are identical, but rather that a significant portion of our genetic blueprints have a common ancestor dating back millions of years. This shared DNA highlights the interconnectedness of life on Earth. Through the process of evolution, all living things share a common ancestor, and the more closely related two species are, the more DNA they will have in common. It's important to remember that sharing 60% of DNA doesn't mean we're almost identical to bananas. The remaining 40% is what makes us uniquely human and allows for the vast differences in appearance, behavior, and capabilities. So, next time you peel a banana, you can remember that you're holding a distant relative. The sun's scorching surface might seem like the last place you'd find water, but recent studies suggest there might be a surprising amount of water vapor trapped deep within its atmosphere. How this water exists in such an extreme environment remains a mystery, but it definitely adds a new layer to our understanding of our fiery star. The sun's surface temperature is incredibly high, reaching around 5,500 degrees Celsius, 9,932 degrees Fahrenheit. At these temperatures, water molecules would instantly break apart into their constituent atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. However, the sun's surface isn't uniform. It has cooler, darker regions called sunspots. These sunspots have temperatures that can dip down to a relatively frigid 3,500 degrees Celsius, 6,332 degrees Fahrenheit. It's within these cooler sunspots that some scientists believe water vapor might exist. At these slightly lower temperatures, hydrogen and oxygen atoms might be able to bond together briefly to form water molecules before being ripped apart again by the sun's intense heat. The presence of water vapor on the sun is still an area of active research. Detecting water vapor in the sun's atmosphere is challenging due to the overwhelming presence of other elements and the limitations of our current technology. Elephants are known for their intelligence and complex social behavior. But did you know they might also experience grief? When an elephant within the herd dies, the others display behaviors that suggest grief and mourning. These include trumpeting. Elephants will trumpet loudly, a vocalization often associated with distress and communication within the herd. Touching the body. They might use their trunks to touch and nudge the deceased elephant, seemingly trying to understand what happened. Staying with the body. Elephants may remain close to the deceased for extended periods, sometimes even days. This suggests a vigil-like behavior where they acknowledge the death. Consoling others. There have even been observations of elephants attempting to comfort grieving members of the herd by using their trunks and bodies. These behaviors suggest that elephants have a certain understanding of death and loss. They recognize the absence of a herd member and react with mourning rituals. It's important to note that we can't definitively say elephants grieve in the same way humans do. Their emotional experience of loss might be different. However, the evidence strongly suggests they experience a period of mourning and emotional response to the death of a loved one. Quantum tunneling is a fascinating phenomenon in quantum mechanics, but it's not quite the same as teleportation we see in science fiction. Here is some key points. Quantum tunneling is a probabilistic phenomenon. There's a chance, however small, that the particle can pass through, but it's not guaranteed. This phenomenon works for tiny particles at the quantum level, not for things like people or spaceships. Sci-fi concept, teleportation, as depicted in science fiction, involves instantly transporting an object or person from one place to another. But with our current understanding of physics, teleportation of macroscopic objects isn't feasible. Imagine a tiny particle defying the laws of physics and seemingly teleporting through a barrier it shouldn't be able to pass through classically. While not possible for you or me, this phenomenon has mind-bending implications for the behavior of matter at the atomic and subatomic level. "3D printing human skin is no longer science fiction. It's a rapidly developing field with exciting possibilities in medicine. 3D printing technology allows us to create three-dimensional objects from a digital file. In this case, scientists can use a patient's own cells to print customized skin grafts. This process, also called bioprinting, involves using a special bioink containing a patient's skin cells. The bioink is then deposited layer by layer to create a complex 3D structure that resembles human skin. 3D printed skin grafts can be customized to perfectly match a patient's skin type and needs. This reduces the risk of rejection compared to traditional skin grafts from donors. Bioprinted skin offers a promising solution for treating severe burns, wounds, and even chronic skin conditions. It can accelerate healing and reduce scarring. Researchers are exploring using 3D printed skin for drug testing and even creating skin with built-in sensors for monitoring health conditions. The technology is still under development. Scientists are working to create bioprinted skin with the same functionality and complexity as natural skin, including nerves, blood vessels, and sweat glands. And regulatory hurdles need to be overcome before widespread use in hospitals. Volcanic eruptions are awe-inspiring displays of nature's power. But did you know they can also produce spectacular electrical phenomena? A volcanic eruption is a powerful and chaotic event. As ash, rock, and gas violently shoot out of the volcano, they create a turbulent and electrically charged plume. Imagine all that ash and debris colliding within the plume. This constant friction between particles acts like rubbing a balloon on your hair. It separates electrical charges. Positively charged particles accumulate in some areas, while negatively charged ones gather in others. When the difference in electrical charge becomes significant enough, a giant spark jumps through the ash cloud, volcanic lightning. It's similar to regular lightning, but in a much more dramatic setting. Unlike regular lightning and thunderstorms, volcanic lightning can occur even without the presence of ice crystals in the plume. Volcanic lightning adds another layer of drama and danger to an already powerful natural phenomenon. It's a reminder of the immense forces at play during an eruption. The question of consciousness existing without a brain is a complex one that has no definitive answer yet. The prevailing view in neuroscience is that consciousness is an emergent property of the brain. Our thoughts, feelings, and experiences arise from the complex interactions and activity of neurons within the brain. Without a brain, it's difficult to imagine how consciousness could exist. Some philosophers and scientists explore the idea of panpsychism. This theory suggests that consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, present in some form even in simple organisms or even fundamental particles. If true, consciousness might not be exclusive to brains, but could exist in a rudimentary form in various aspects of the universe. The problem with panpsychism is that we have no way to verify or measure this level of consciousness. It's a fascinating idea, but currently lacks scientific evidence. Some people who have near-death experiences report feeling a sense of consciousness outside of their bodies. However, these experiences can be explained by altered brain states or psychological factors. While intriguing, near-death experiences aren't definitive proof of consciousness existing without a brain. While the jury's still out, the possibility of consciousness existing without a brain is a topic of ongoing scientific and philosophical exploration. It highlights the mysteries surrounding this fundamental aspect of human experience. The Earth's crust is like a giant recycling bin when it comes to continents. The Earth's surface is broken up into giant slabs of rock called tectonic plates. These plates are constantly moving due to the churning of the hot mantle beneath them. At the edges of these plates, a fascinating process called subduction occurs. One plate dives underneath the other, sinking deep down into the mantle. This subducted plate isn't simply destroyed, though. The intense heat and pressure within the mantle cause the subducted continental crust to melt. This molten material gets mixed with the mantle rock. Over millions of years, this molten material can rise back up through the mantle, eventually erupting through volcanic activity or forming new sections of the ocean floor. Through complex geological processes, this recycled material can even contribute to the formation of new continents at the surface. This continual process of subduction and recycling means the continents we see today are a patchwork of ancient and younger materials. Some of the deepest continental cratons, cores, might be as old as Earth itself, while other parts were formed from recycled continental material much later. Wow, your mind just got blown 10 times over, right? Science is incredible, isn't it? These are just a few of the mind-bending truths lurking in our universe. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button so you never miss an episode of our scientific adventures. And if you know someone who needs a good dose of mind-blowing science, be sure to share this video. See you next time for more mind-bending science facts.